All right, moving on to the next Patreon request, and this one comes from Brittany Digger, who asked me to do a Owl House Sword in the Stone story. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier, that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, let's get started with the video. So the story begins somewhere early in Season 2, where Luz is just basically just kind of like honing her glyph magic and all that, and she's teaching what she knows to Ida and Lilith. And basically, Luz brings up, was like, man, I'm a great teacher, like Merlin, if he was real. And Ida just casually mentions, oh yeah, he was real. Yeah, Merlin was totally real. And she's like, excuse me? And she goes, yeah, Merlin was and she's like, and at first, Luz thinks Ida's just kind of like pulling her chain and all that. She's just like, oh, Ida just throwing out another wild story again. And Ida's like, no, I'm not. And even Lilith goes, oh yeah, Merlin's real. Like, we all met Merlin. We actually met Merlin. Like, Ida and I met Merlin in our youth. And immediately Luz is just like, tell me everything. So Luz gets sit down, and Ida and Lilith tell the story of how they met Merlin. So it flashes back to their youth, and Ida and Lilith. This is before they join the Emperor. They go to they start learning at school and all that, and enroll in the Emperor's Coven, or trying to vie for that. And this is even before the curse and everything. So it's a day off from school, and Ida and Lilith are just kind of like messing around, and Lilith's just like, you should be in detention again after what you did last time. And she's like, yeah, but I'm not. Like, it was like, Vice Principal Bump can't make me stay there all the time. And Ida and Lilith, as they're like, headed back home, that's when they see like this huge flash in the sky, and immediately Lilith's like, we should not go near that, and Ida's like, we should totally go towards it. So Ida and Lilith, they travel to where this flashing light was, and basically what they find is an old man in blue robes and hat, and he's just like coughing up smoke and whatnot, and he's just like, ugh, never mix those two again, those two potions ever again. And the sisters are like watching him from afar, and they're like, well, I've never seen a wizard like that before, and he's using actual like wild magic. I thought like Belos basically said we could only choose a coven, and that's how like Ida's like, yeah, I want to know more about this guy. So she proceeds to like go get closer, and she's still trying to like figure out who this guy is as he's like trying to work on this potion, and he's saying all these funny magical words, and she's like, actual witches don't need to do witches and wizards don't need to do that. And she's like, who is this guy? And that's when she hears a voice go, that young lady is Merlin the Magnificent, and you are an interloper. And she looks up, it's an owl, it's Archimedes. And immediately Ida's like, talking owl! Ah! Bratty human! See? You see how that sounds? It hurts, doesn't it? And he was like, yeah, it hurts a little. See? Not fun, is it? So, Ida and Lilith, Ida and Lilith are, they show themselves out in the open to Merlin, and Merlin's like, oh, hello, you must be some of the natives of this island. As my good friend Archimedes has said, I am Merlin the Magnificent, and I've come to the Boiling Isles to gather some ingredients for some potions I need. It hasn't been going well. So Merlin basically, like I said, Merlin's just here, and Ida and Lilith are like, you came from where? Oh, Earth. Like, I came from Earth. And that's when Lilith's like, that's impossible. There are no recorded wizards on Earth. And he goes, well, allow me to be the first. Technically the second, but I don't like to count some people. So Merlin explains that Earth does indeed have magic, and it's still it's still out there, and it's out in the wild. And some people out there have learned to hone it, much like much like Merlin. So there is magic on Earth, but he does know that, like, unlike the magic here that can be bred from a special organ in your heart, the magic on Earth is like wild and only survives through belief of people. So as long as people believe in magic, the strength of that magic can survive. That's why we cut back to like Luz back in the present time from hearing the stories, like, oh, so that's why we can't use magic on Earth. And Ida's like, hey, focus on me. We're trying to tell a story here. So they're basically talking to to Merlin. She's like, so they're like, so are you is there anyone else here from Earth? And he goes, no, and I'd like to keep it that way. There are some wizards and witches on my world that would love nothing more than enslave your world. One in particular I would not like to have here. And Ida's like, well, who's that? And he goes, oh, Mad Madam Mim. She's been, she's nothing short of dangerous for your world. And I suspect she may be poking around here. That's why I've been gathering these ingredients, to help build like a barrier to keep her out. But as they're talking, that's when they start hearing like screams from afar. That being, turns out Mim is here on the Boiling Isles, and she is gathering magic. But the difference being is how she's gathering magic is through, consuming the magic from people directly. And Merlin, Ida, and Lilith, they find her, and she's like feeding off of draining the magic from a witch. And and Mim sees Merlin and is like, oh, look, I was wondering when you were going to show up, you big bearded killjoy. And look, you brought hors d'oeuvres. How lovely. And Merlin's immediately like, stay away from them, Mim. They're under my protection. And she goes, oh, would you care for that? Care to wager on that? And he goes, yeah. And she goes, Wizard's Duel it is. And Lilith and Ida are like, oh, yeah, Lilith and Ida are like, Wizard's Duel? And Archimedes basically explains, like, oh, on Earth magic customs is basically, the two will pair off and change into various forms and try to destroy one another. So Lilith's like, that's barbaric. Ida's like, that's awesome. So they agree to have a wizard battle, and agree to go through separate, various forms of animals, things like that, just like in the movie. And immediately the two of them, go their separate, march in different directions. And Lilith and Ida watch as the wizard battle begins. They're turning into all sorts of animals. Like Merlin turns into a gorilla to like counter Mim's crocodile. Mim turns into an elephant. He turns into a whale, a body slammer. And keep in mind, Ida and Lilith don't know what these animals are, so they're just all kinds of confused by seeing by what they're witnessing. So they're just kind of like, what the hell are these things? And Ida's just like, Earth has got to be really weird, if a really weird place, if these are the animals that are out, that are out and about. So they're having this back and forth, kind of like watching this. But then Ida then notices that Mim turns herself into she vanishes, and that was one of the rules of no disappearing, and is like coming up behind Merlin. And Ida and we cut back, and it was like, Mim was going to kill Merlin? How'd you stop it, Ida? Did you use some kind of wild magic to blast her away? And Ida goes, nope, something similar than that. Turns out Ida just threw a rock at the back of Mim's head, knocked her out. So with Mim down, Merlin's like, you cheated! So yeah, tournament's off, and then makes magical chains to bind her up and toss her back to Earth. And he's like, no doubt she'll be causing me trouble eventually again, but for right now, she's taken care of. And I can finish the potion to create the barrier to keep her out from your world again. And I think it's best if we don't have... if the incursions between Earth and the Boiling Isles should be kept at a minimum. Wouldn't want to have some kind of crisis now, would we? So, and Ida's like, and I didn't listen to that advice. So by the end of it, Luz is like, wow, I can't believe you actually met, Merlin's real, and you got to meet him. You think Merlin's still alive? And they're like, oh, who knows? He did live a long time. He was old by our standards, so who knows how old he is now if he's still around. So, by the end of it, it was also funny because Ida also really took a shine to Archimedes, leading her to take that moniker of the Owl Lady as well. But yeah, there you go. That is the Owl House Sword in the Stone story. You guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? And once again, I would like to thank Brittany Digger for this Patreon request, as well as continued patronage. And like I said before, if you want to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the 3rd tier, and it'll allow you to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.